It may look a little familiar, the Tennessee Titans taking on the St. Louis Rams, a Super Bowl rematch, sort of. We'll show you. The news is coming up next.
You're watching 6 WATE-TV Knoxville. Coverage you can count on. This is 6 Eyewitness News, 11 at 11.
It came in fast and left just as quickly. A stormy night in East Tennessee. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brennan Robinson. Meteorologist Bob Becker is keeping an eye on things from the Storm Center. All done for the night? It
is quieted down for the night. It's been a busy night in the weather lab. We've been watching a storm tracker throughout the evening, and the showers and thunderstorms developed. They developed quickly and developed very strong. We're going to start off by showing you some pictures right outside the Greystone Studios. The wind was just howling, probably around. Things are going to be quieting down. However, we are not out of this weather pattern. Brennan, we're not done talking about thunderstorms. They'll be back in the forecast again tomorrow. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Okay, heading back to the weather lab shortly. And as Bob said, we heard widespread reports of damage across Knox County. Nothing too serious. Officials reacted quickly to reports of downed trees and power lines. At Chapman Highway and Locust Hill, crews cleared limbs and debris blocking the roadway. The storms also knocked out traffic lights, making driving hazardous. At the peak of the storm, 4,800 customers of Knoxville Utilities Board were without power, mostly from trees falling on power lines and substations being flooded briefly. Within the past hour, KUB had restored power to all but 3,000 customers. Could take until the early morning hours to get everybody else back online. The Lenoir City's Utilities Board is also reporting widespread power outages, though the number of homes in the dark is not known at this time. Crews are working to get the power back on. Well, 2 days before the gavel drops, opening the Republican National Convention, Tennessee's 74 delegates and alternates are arriving in Philadelphia. We caught up with 3 of them at McGee-Tyson as they prepare to take off.
It's always fun to go to the conventions every year. And
This will be Susan Richardson Williams' 5th GOP National Convention. Her first was in 1964 when Republicans nominated Barry Goldwater. Back then, the delegates didn't always know who they'd vote for, as they do now.
Pretty much in our primary system, you select our candidates, before you get to the convention. But in fact, delegates actually vote for the candidate and the vice president there. So it still serves a good purpose.
Thank you all for coming.
The main purpose is to give the party and the candidate the convention bounce. A new ABC News Washington Post poll shows Bush's lead over Al Gore at 11 points, up 8 points in just the last 5 days. First-timers Ann Ayers and Geneva Williams-Harrison don't mind if Gore, a fellow Tennessean, loses his own state.
We want to do well in Tennessee for George W. Bush because he has character. And in Tennessee, we feel like character counts.
I think most Tennesseans are ready for change. We want to be Gore-free Tennessee. And the only way we can do that is to elect George W.
But what is it about the convention that creates excitement that even an hour-long flight delay can't dampen?
Well, in truth, it's a lot of parties.
Parties. It's about seeing and being seen, and being a part of history, even if it's determined in advance. And we checked, and the flight did arrive in Philadelphia about 45 minutes late. Meanwhile, the convention hall in Philly is getting the final touches before thousands of delegates pour in. They'll fill the seats decorated in patriotic red, white, and blue, ready to make George W. Bush the official GOP nominee. And though Bush spent the day campaigning in Kentucky, Philadelphia is already packed with reporters from all over the country. There's even a special new area called Internet Alley set up for the .com coverage. The convention ends Thursday. Meanwhile, Vice President Gore trying to counter any momentum Bush gets from the convention. While he vacations on a private island off North Carolina, his aides say he will announce his running mate a week from Tuesday, right after the GOP convention ends. We understand he'll make that announcement from here in Tennessee. The spokesman says the vice president is using this time to ponder a list of less than 10 names. Well, 16 news organizations have joined a lawsuit to void the state's budget. A Nashville judge allowed the move this week. The suit claims the budget, approved late last month, is illegal because it was hammered out in private in violation of the Open Meetings Act. Next Friday, a judge will hear the state's motion to dismiss the suit. Well, today, friends and family in Newport remembered a young woman who lost her life, apparently because of an angry driver. Last week, Navy sailor Amy Whistler died in a car crash on her way home to East Tennessee from Virginia. Witnesses say her car flipped as she tried to escape an aggressive tailgater. Whistler was laid to rest with military honors.
Everybody liked Amy on board the ship. She's always in a good mood.
I always wanted to make everybody else in a good mood. It was contagious, her attitude.
Witnesses say the man tailgating Whistler left the scene. Virginia State Police say they're investigating several leads. The young victim of a hit and run is now recovering at home. We're following up on the story of 6-year-old Mark Williams. He's now been released from the hospital. Williams was hit by a car Tuesday night as he rode his big wheel on Virginia Avenue in Western Heights. The driver sped away. But today, police say they believe they found the car, although they are still investigating. Mayor Victor Ashe is offering a $2,500 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction. A Ray County jury has convicted an 18-year-old of murdering his father last year. Brandon Rowland had testified the shooting was in self-defense. Yesterday, the jury convicted him of first-degree felony murder and theft. He'll be sentenced in October. A Nashville man late for a doctor's appointment ends up shot to death. 22-year-old Anthony Kennedy was killed around noon yesterday in front of a busy Nashville Medical Center. Detectives say Kennedy and 18-year-old Ladella Bracey argued after Kennedy's appointment had to be rescheduled. Police believe Bracey, who was likely a family member, shot Kennedy and fled. Well, they searched for days, handing out flyers, asking for information. Last night, that search came to a tragic end. Time now for a look at the South in 60 seconds. Late last night, North Carolina police found 12-year-old Billy Huddleston's body in a cornfield. An autopsy confirms the identity. He'd been missing since Tuesday when his friends say he got into a car with 2 men. Investigators are looking for them. In Alabama, 4 people are in the hospital after a morning explosion at a Birmingham steel plant. Rescuers had to get 1 man out from under a crane. The cause of the explosion is still under investigation. No word on the victim's conditions. Kentucky farmers say the first ever Farm Fund benefit was a rousing success. Tobacco farmers say a 45% cut in the crop quota will cut their incomes in half. The proceeds from today's event will go to Farm Fund, a grant program designed to help tobacco farmers diversify. Farm Fund hopes to raise $100,000 by the end of the year. Well, a Texas food distributor is accused of selling dirty food. Formosa sends Chinese food to grocery stores and restaurants in 5 states, including Tennessee. The Texas Attorney General is concerned about the company's sanitation violations. Here's Karen Kelly.
Says the owner or manager who's watching it.
That was Karen Kelly reporting. The Texas Attorney General has filed a lawsuit against Formosa. Well, the Tennessee Titans got their Super Bowl rematch with the St. Louis Rams today, sort of. Scott Finley here with a check of our sports. Scott.
Well, Brennan, the Titans lost the Super Bowl by only 1 yard back in January, and they've been waiting the entire offseason to face the Rams again. Teams playing their 3rd and final scrimmage today up in Illinois. Hard to tell who won since they're not keeping score, but the Titans feel like they held their own in this thing.
Really good work, you know, starting with the first practice Thursday afternoon all the way through the last play today. We got an awful lot out of this. It was great to see the numbers of people out here supporting this. You know, we got a lot of good things done today.
The Titans and Rams play again in the preseason in only 2 weeks. Peyton Manning takes the field tonight for his first preseason game. We'll show you how that turned out. The NFL inducts one of the best quarterbacks ever into the Hall of Fame today, and the Knoxville Speed holding a camp for some future hockey stars. We'll have all that for you in a bit, Brennan.
All right, thanks, Scott. Well, that is 11 minutes of nonstop news, weather, and sports. Still ahead, a baby bear mesmerizes a crowd at a Colorado apartment complex. We'll show you. And here in Knoxville, it's a special weekend for our furry friends from down under. But first, the rest of our forecast.
Several days, scattered showers and thunderstorms continuing each day with partly cloudy skies. Temperatures near normal for this time of the year, which is in the upper 80s. And maybe the end of the week before we see things start to dry out. As long as this weather pattern stays like it is, our weather will stay just like it is.
Oh, my lawn is grateful, as always.
Very wet.
Yes. All right, thank you, Bob. Well, they're cute, they're cuddly, and they're on the list of threatened species. That's why this weekend is Save the Koala Weekend at the Knoxville Zoo. 2 of the marsupials, Quambi and Dewey, are spending their summer at the zoo in a special exhibit called Camp Koala. Zoo officials hope Save the Koala Weekend will raise awareness about the plight of the koala and its loss of its natural habitat. Well, the Braves make a move today, picking up a closer, and Peyton Manning flexes his arm for the first preseason action. Scott Finley joins us later in sports. Plus, teens and sex and the psychiatric connection. Stay tuned.
6 Eyewitness News continues with Brennan Robinson.
And here's a look at your tonight's Kentucky lottery numbers: 1, 4, 20, 35, 37, and 39. The jackpot up to $2 million. Well, depression, substance abuse, schizophrenia, psychiatric disorders like these have now been linked to risky sexual behavior in young people, according to a new study by the British Medical Journal. Researchers studied more than 921-year-old men and women, and the results showed teens and young adults with mental disorders were more likely to engage in risky sexual intercourse, contract sexually transmitted diseases, and have sex before the age of 16. The scientists recommended mental health services become more involved with sexual medicine. Well, a 6 on your side consumer alert to tell you about tonight. The Huffco Delaware company is recalling more than 100,000 Jerry Trail Tech baby carriers. Small infants can slip through the leg openings and they can fall. There have been 4 injuries reported. The carriers have black plastic frames and were sold from January 1996 through this month. Jerry R is printed on the outside of the carrier. If you have one of these backpacks, stop using it immediately and call this number, 1-800-881-9176. Well, some Colorado cable company workers got quite a surprise. They spotted a 6-month-old bear cub running across the street, and he scampered around an apartment complex with onlookers, police, and wildlife officers in hot pursuit. Finally, he climbed a tree and stayed there for a couple of hours until officials tranquilized him and took him to an animal rehabilitation center. And after a checkup, he'll be released back into the wild.
You're eating breakfast or something, you see something like that scampered across your yard, what do you do?
You spit out your breakfast in a hurry. Peyton Manning thinking about Super Bowl already.
Yeah, you know what? It starts tonight, hopefully, and maybe goes through the end of January. Could be, you know, as the Colts taking on the Falcons. We'll show you that, and the Titans are thinking Super Bowl II. Thinking about getting back there, and the Rams helping jog their memory a little bit with a full-speed scrimmage today. Back to take you there in a minute.